Hey Patrick, it was nice meeting you yesterday in the meeting. Would you mind helping me with this new project that I've been assigned? Since I'm new, I don't exactly know how to follow the steps. Sure, yeah, it was nice meeting you too, but I don't feel like it right now. Can we talk about it later? Oh God, I should be ashamed of myself. See, he has already started hating me. Oh, I just can't help but be a burden to others. I'm such a shame. I don't know how to be. I feel so anxious. As a survivor of narcissistic abuse, if you think your social awkwardness or shyness is your personality, you may be wrong. For years, you may have assumed that's who I am, but what if you're not? Research has shown us that in survivors of complex trauma, social awkwardness or shyness can be a coping mechanism, a trauma response that gets triggered after prolonged exposure to relational stress. I found it so true for myself when doing research and when healing my core wounds. I understood that I am not shy, I was just afraid and frozen. Let's talk about this further in today's episode. I am Danish, a psychologist, a trauma therapist, and a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to this episode. The topic is social awkwardness for narcissistic abuse trauma survivors is a trauma response. If that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing before we get started because your subscription to the channel helps in spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse. To understand how social awkwardness could be a trauma response, let's first try to understand what happens when you are raised by a narcissistic parent or what happens when you stay in a narcissistic relationship for decades. You are constantly shamed and blamed. Your true self is suppressed, your voice is questioned, and you're forced to stay silent because your opinions, your thoughts, your decisions, your beliefs, and emotions are vilified. They do not matter, period. This is the message that you get from the narcissist. What that does is it eventually leads to a major personality alteration, especially alteration in self-perception and the perception of those who see us. Deep down, we start believing that they will hate us or I will be hated, since that's been our primary experience from our primary caretaker or the narcissistic family that we grew up in. We were hated for being us. We had to walk on eggshells. That is where your training, call it programming, comes from. That's your conditioning. Now, as an adult, let's say you join a new office. There are people who you do not know. Some of them are familiar to you, but you do not know them. And you naturally start walking on eggshells. They're not perpetrators, they're not abusers, they're not narcissists. They're calm, chill people who can be supportive and want to have a good professional relationship with you. But you don't know what's happening. All of a sudden, you start feeling anxiety, you start feeling panic, you start overreading, should I say, mind reading the situation. You assume on the basis of your past painful learning about what they think about you. One mistake, one slight, one thing that one of your coworkers says something slightly differently because of myriad reasons, you assume, rather you believe, it must be me. See, I am the crazy one. See, I am a burden. See, I am hated. Everybody hates me. I am not acceptable. I just gave you one single example. There are tons of examples. Just overreading people's expressions because our trauma brain compares them, their actions, with the actions of those who have abused us. And there may be surface level similarity, but the intention may be different. For example, one of your coworkers may be tired that day, may have had a rough day with their child, may be ill, and they may not show up as energetically as they are used to showing up. You may assume that it's because of you, because you're a burden, they don't want to do anything with you, they don't want to tolerate you, and then you will feel rejected. What will that do? That will lead to either resentment, irritability, conflict. Nobody knows where it came from, but you feel like there is a conflict, there is a fight, and now this is going to turn into a war. That is what is called trauma reenactment. Or naturally, you will just turn into a smaller version of yourself because you feel, I am not accepted the way I am. My true self is not welcome here. So this is where that social awkwardness comes from. What was my social awkwardness? Before a group of people, I would naturally start stuttering. Even after knowing everything about the topic, I would stutter or I would freeze. I remember once I had to present in front of 50 students in a school assembly in the morning, and I was called on the stage. I had everything written down on a piece of paper, and a lot of people were watching me. Eyes were on me. Attention was always danger to me. That's how I perceived it because of my parents, because of my narcissistic father. Attention was what I ran away from. It's not just him, it's also bullying that I experienced in the environment that I was a part of, the society, the culture. Anyways, so I froze. I could not read that paper. And everybody was laughing at me. I remember I have had the weirdest of weird experiences that day. It was dissociation, like completely zoning off and feeling like I'm not here. This is not me, leaving my body and truly feeling I'm in space, or what is going on was just a cartoon show. It was not real. And that then gave me nightmares. That was absolute traumatization, and that showed up in every group meeting that I did. I remember one of my first workshops that I did, and I was so anxious. I was sweating. One of my first sessions with clients in this career after healing, it came up. So I thought I'm shy, I am introverted, which is true. I am introverted. That is my personality. But all of it, no, I want to go out there. I want to be a part of these groups. I want to be a part of these workshops. Healing happens in the collective, and sometimes you have to step out of that bubble. Your social awkwardness may become an obstacle, and you may think, I am hateable. I am a bad person deep within. Why would they accept me? Why would they put up with me? I bother them a lot. That is your trauma. If that is what you're struggling with, maybe you need to dig in a little deeper and ask yourself, where might this trauma response be coming from? Does it have anything to do with my childhood? If you're not a neurodivergent, meaning if you're not on the autism spectrum, if you do not have ADHD, dyslexia, maybe this is your trauma response, and you need to look within and probably just peel those layers to get to the core of the issue and understand that this is your inner child, always seeking confirmation bias. What is that? That simply means there is a deep core belief within, I am unacceptable, I am worthless, I am a burden on others, I am really difficult to deal with. That's what you unconsciously believe about yourself. And when you go out there in these different social settings that are neutral for others, you personalize them, and then naturally your brain looks for confirmation bias. Why? To keep you safe, so that you survive by using the same ways you have used in the past and you are not hurt. Releasing these traumas, healing that inner child, healing that core belief, knowing what your reality is, accepting your true self is what will lead to freedom and what will give you a complete answer to the question whether or not you are shy. So that was it for today's episode. Let me know how you liked in the comments below, and make sure to join my upcoming workshop. The topic will be how to overcome betrayal trauma in 5 practical steps. It's happening this weekend, Sunday evening, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be staying together for almost 3 hours, and you will be learning how to overcome this trauma, and I'll give you all the tools. If you do not want to miss this opportunity, click the link in description, and I will see you on the other side. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.